So, for our deep dive today, we're looking at something that, well, sounds a bit like a riddle.
It does, yeah.
What if you had a huge infrastructure problem, and it took 7 years and over $1 million just to plan the solution?
Right.
And then 8 rodents show up and solve the whole thing in 48 hours. For free.
It's just the perfect case study, isn't it? It's the ultimate contrast between, human complexity and raw natural efficiency.
Exactly.
And that's what we're really getting into here.
Yeah.
The story of the Morava River marsh restoration in the Czech Republic. The mission isn't just to laugh at the irony of it all.
Yep.
It's to figure out why. Why did our system create this bottleneck that basically guaranteed failure, while the beavers just delivered a perfect success?
And the source material lays it out so clearly. You have this massive multi-million-dollar government plan that spends 7 full years in what you could only call bureaucratic purgatory.
Purgatory is the right word. Zero action.
And then the B team, as we're calling them, the Beavers, they just show up and do the entire job.
Yeah.
In 2 nights.
And you have to hold that paradox in your mind as we go through this. All our knowledge, all our resources, channeled through modern systems, produced 7 years of cost and 0 construction.
And on the other side.
Natural instinct, channeled through biological need. And that produced a flawless, finished project in 48 hours. That timeline, that's our starting point.
Okay, so let's start there. Let's unpack that 7-year failure, because honestly, that's the most baffling part of the story.
It is.
The goal was simple, right? Restore a marsh along the Morava River, which is basically about controlling the water table.
Yeah.
Why did that get so monumentally complicated?
Because a simple goal was immediately put through a very, very complicated modern machine of risk aversion.
Okay.
Anytime a government uses public money on a project, especially an environmental one, the first thing they do is try to create endless layers of certainty.
But avoid getting sued or blamed later on?
Exactly, to preempt any possible challenge, legal or political.
So walk us through it. What did that paper trail actually look like? How do 2,555 days just vanish with no shovels involved?
It's a classic domino effect of administrative needs. It all starts with the initial feasibility studies.
To justify spending the money in the first place.
Right. But those studies, they always raise more questions than they answer, which leads you to the next, much bigger step, the environmental impact assessment, the EIA.
And the EIA is where things really start to get bogged down, isn't it?
Sure.
It's not just an engineering report, it's a legal document.
It's a huge legal and political document. An EIA can easily take a year on its own. You have public hearings, you have computer modeling for, 100-year floods.
Assessing the impact on every single species in the area.
Every single one, no matter how remote. But then, and this is the key part in this case, you have the review of the EIA.
A review of the review.
Often by different agencies or by newly created committees that have to weigh in. So now you've got a committee meeting to interpret the findings of another committee.
And if they disagree, I assume you form a third committee to sort it out.
You're getting it. And our sources show this is exactly what happened. Budgets were proposed, then revised, then argued over because the scope kept changing with every new person who had a say.
You've got engineers arguing with environmentalists, consultants arguing with politicians.
And everyone arguing about risk and all of this talking, all these meetings about meetings, they have a real cost.
Which brings us to that $1 million figure. Where'd that money actually go?
It was all soft costs. Consulting fees, legal retainers, computer modeling, travel stipends for committee members, administrative overhead.
So nothing for steel or concrete or labor.
Not a cent. It's like paying a fortune for a gym membership, a personal trainer, and new workout clothes, and then spending 7 years just thinking about going to the gym.
But I have to push back a little here. Isn't some of that necessary? I mean, we have these systems to prevent disasters, right? To stop some ill-conceived project from causing even more damage. Beavers don't carry liability insurance.
And that's a brilliant point. We create complexity to manage risk. But sometimes the complexity itself becomes the biggest risk, the risk of total paralysis. The system is built to favor deliberation over action. Why? Because avoiding blame is often a bigger career win than actually achieving the goal.
So the incentives are all wrong. The system actually rewards people for slowing things down.
Precisely. And while all the humans are focused on mitigating some hypothetical lawsuit 7 years from now, the actual marsh is dying today.
Right. And that's when the whole conversation changes.
That's when the beavers arrive.
Cue the dramatic music. Enter the B team. Just 8 totally normal beavers. They show up, no permits filed, no public comment, period.
They didn't commission a hydrological study, that's for sure. They just saw a problem and got to work.
The irony is just amazing. They didn't need a feasibility study because their ancestors had been testing this exact design for millions of years.
It's the ultimate performance review.
So let's talk about the timeline again because it's just stunning. Humans, 2,555 days of discussion.
And the beavers. They built the whole thing fully functional and structurally sound in 2 nights.
48 hours.
48 hours. They got $1 million result for the price of some tree bark.
Okay, let's get into the weeds of their methods. What makes their engineering process so efficient?
It's completely adaptive and local. Their tools are their own teeth.
Which I've read are, like, unbelievably strong, iron reinforced.
Oh, yeah. They were self-sharpening and can cut with the precision of a small saw. They harvest their materials, mud, branches right there on site. It's all renewable, local, and zero carbon.
So no supply chain issues, no waiting for a shipment of concrete.
No heavy machinery, no fuel, no crew changes, and definitely no union breaks. They're just driven by this one single existential need: create a safe, stable, deep water home.
And that need is their quality control, right?
It's the ultimate quality control. If the dam fails, they're the ones who suffer. So every single stick they place is part of this highly optimized, time-tested system. They get immediate feedback from their environment.
And this is where the story gets even better. When the human engineers finally come to assess the site, they aren't just looking at a pile of sticks.
No, not at all. They were looking at a high-performance piece of ecological infrastructure.
One that was actually better than what they had planned.
Demonstrably better. It exceeded the original project specifications that were in those planning documents, the very plans that cost over $1 million to write up.
So what did the beaver dam do that the human plan didn't? What were the metrics?
Well, a healthy marsh needs varied water levels. It's not just a stagnant pond. The beavers built a dam that was naturally tiered and permeable. It wasn't a solid wall like a concrete dam.
We'll let water seep through at different rates.
Exactly. So it was managing the water, not just blocking it. It expanded the flooded area to the perfect size. It slowed the water just enough to deposit nutrient-rich sediment.
Which is how you rebuild a marsh.
It's critical, and the ecological results were immediate. Perfect breeding grounds for frogs, better spawning areas for fish, and our source material actually called them luxury accommodations for the local crayfish.
Wow. So the human plan was just aiming for stability. The beavers delivered a whole thriving ecosystem.
And that's what was so humbling for the engineers. They did their formal assessment, and the conclusion was just inescapable.
But the beaver dam was better.
It was superior. And their official recommendation was to leave it alone, do not touch it, do not try to improve it, just leave it.
That has to be one of the most incredible admissions of failure and natural brilliance I've ever heard. $1 million worth of consulting knowledge was just outclassed by 8 animals.
And then there's the financial outcome. This is where it gets really wild.
They saved money.
They saved over $1 million. Because the beavers had done the job, the Czech government didn't have to spend the money on the actual construction.
So $1 million was basically rescued from a government contracting black hole by wildlife. And think about the opportunity cost. All those people tied up for 7 years, delivering nothing.
Meanwhile, the beavers delivered the solution in 2 nights. And their fee?
The pond they built for themselves.
That was it. Their payment was the habitat, which shows you the difference in what drives the two systems. One is driven by billing hours and managing liability. The other is driven by evolutionary fitness and survival.
So if we look at this whole thing as like nature's performance review,
the scorecard is pretty one-sided.
the beaver dam immediately boosted biodiversity. It created natural flood control. It was built with 0 carbon emissions using 100% renewable materials.
What about the maintenance contract?
There isn't one.
Exactly. It's a self-repairing, self-maintaining system that provides ongoing ecosystem services for free. A human project would need a budget line for repairs and monitoring forever.
It just forces you to ask this really fundamental question. Why do we, as this supposedly brilliant technological species, create systems that are so complex we fail at simple tasks?
I think the answer is about control. Or the illusion of control. We demand the Gantt charts, the risk assessments, the endless paper trail because we're terrified of the unknown and even more terrified of being blamed.
And that complexity guarantees delay.
It guarantees delay and expense. Meanwhile, the beavers are operating under the simplest performance metric there is: survival. Their dam building knowledge is encoded in their DNA because any ancestors who built bad dams, well, they didn't have any ancestors.
We confuse complexity with competence.
We do. We choose complicated solutions because they justify big budgets and long consulting contracts. But the result is often slower, more expensive, and less effective than just stepping back and watching nature.
So the biggest takeaway here is really about humility, isn't it? Humility in the face of millions of years of evolutionary design.
It has to be. And you have to give the Czech government credit. Faced with this undeniable proof, they made the right call. They didn't tear it down and build their million-dollar plan anyway, just to save face.
No, they admitted the beavers were better engineers for this particular job. They saved the money, they saved time, and they got the perfect environmental result.
It's such a powerful lesson.
It really makes you reflect, though. It makes you ask, what would happen if we stopped trying to force our own huge, complex solutions onto every problem? What if we spent more resources just observing what nature already does so well and then worked with that?
It's a huge question. What if we spent a year just studying the hydrology of that one beaver dam? Could we then build 1,000 dams just as good for a fraction of the cost? Maybe the highest form of human engineering is just learning to recognize genius when it's working for free right in front of us with nothing but teeth and mud.